Welcome to Chapter in 10.
Your ultimate guide to mastering Class 7 chapters in just a few minutes. This is Chapter 8, Measurement of Time and Motion, from your Class 7 Curiosity textbook. Today, we're diving deep into it through a fantastic Q&A challenge that will help you master this chapter. So, grab your thinking caps, get ready to guess the answers, and let's spark our brains. Let us switch on our minds and see what we can discover. Let's start with time. My first question is about history. Imagine a world without clocks. How did people tell time long ago before any clocks or watches existed? They were clever. They looked at events that repeat regularly in nature. Things like the daily rising and setting of the sun, the changing phases of the moon, and the different seasons. Exactly. They used natural repetition. Now, even before modern clocks, they invented some clever devices. Can you name any 4 simple devices they used to measure time in ancient times? They used devices like sundials, water clocks, hourglasses with sand, and even candle clocks. Excellent. Let's focus on the sundial. Explain simply, how does a sundial work? A sundial tells time by using the changing position of the shadow that is cast by the sunlight during the day. And what about the hourglass, which uses sand? What is the basic idea behind an hourglass? An hourglass measures time based on the flow of sand from the top glass bulb to the bottom bulb over a fixed time period. Now let's move to something we see in many clocks, the pendulum. What exactly is a simple pendulum, and what is the small, hanging ball called? A simple pendulum is a small metallic ball, called the bob, that hangs from a rigid support by a long thread. Watch that bob move. What do we call the back and forth movement of a pendulum? We call this movement oscillatory motion. Because it repeats its path over and over, it is also called periodic motion. So how do we measure that motion? When can we say a pendulum has completed one full oscillation? One oscillation is complete when the bob starts from one point, swings all the way to one side, then all the way to the other side, and finally comes back to its exact starting point. And the time taken for that one cycle has a special name. Define the time period of a simple pendulum. The time period is simply the time taken by the pendulum to complete one single oscillation. A famous scientist noticed something amazing about this time period. Who discovered that the time period of a pendulum, of a given length, is constant? It was Galileo Galilei. He observed that the time for one swing is always the same for a pendulum of the same length, even if the swing is slightly bigger or smaller. Building on Galileo's discovery, someone invented the first practical clock. Who invented the very first pendulum clock? The pendulum clock was invented by Christian Huygens in 1656. Quick experiment question. If I replace the small bob with a heavy one, does the weight, mass of the bob change the time period of the simple pendulum? No, it does not. The time period only depends on the length of the pendulum, not on the mass or weight of the bob. Okay, let's look at all modern time measuring devices. What is the basic principle that all clocks and watches use to keep track of time? All clocks use some kind of process that repeats continuously to mark equal, fixed intervals of time. Good. Time for units. What is the official SI unit of time? The official SI unit of time is the second, and its symbol is S. Finally, for this section, what are the 2 larger, commonly used units of time and how do they relate to seconds? The 2 larger units are the minute, min, and the hour, h. The conversions are 60 seconds equals 1 minute, and 60 minutes equals 1 hour. One last quick one. It was mentioned in your chapter. What is the special watch used by sports teachers to measure short time intervals in races? That would be a stopwatch. Let's switch from time to motion. Imagine two runners. How do you tell which runner is moving faster than the other? We compare the distance they cover in a fixed amount of time. The one that covers more distance in the same time is faster. That comparison has a name. Define speed in one simple sentence. Speed is the distance covered by an object in a unit time, like 1 second or 1 hour. Time to be a mathematician. Write down the mathematical formula for calculating speed. The formula is speed equals total distance covered divided by total time taken. Just as we had an SI unit for time, we have one for speed. What is the SI unit of speed? The SI unit of speed is meter per second, which we write as ms. And what do we use for long journeys in cars or trains? What is the more common unit of speed? The common unit is kilometer per hour, written as km/h. Now let's change the formula around. If you know the speed and time, how will you find the distance covered? We use the formula, distance equals time multiplied by speed. And the last rearrangement. If you know the distance and speed, how will you find the time taken? We use the formula, time equals distance divided by speed. Two terms describe how motion happens. First, what is uniform motion? Uniform motion is when an object moves in a straight line with a constant speed. Its speed does not change. That means the opposite is, what is non-uniform motion? Non-uniform motion is when an object moves in a straight line but its speed keeps changing. It gets faster, then slower, etc. Look at the dashboard of any car. You see two important meters. What is the difference between a speedometer and an odometer? A speedometer measures and shows the car's speed at that moment. An odometer measures the total distance the car has traveled. We've talked about what speed is. Now let's look at how motion changes in the real world. My first question is about the two types of motion we discussed. Distinguish between uniform and non-uniform motion using the example of a car moving on a straight highway with no traffic versus a car moving in city traffic. Uniform motion is like the car on the highway with no traffic. It covers equal distances in equal time because its speed remains constant. It doesn't change. Non-uniform motion is like the car in city traffic. It covers unequal distances in equal time because its speed keeps changing, slowing down for lights, speeding up, etc. Next, a car covers 60 kilometers in the first hour, 70 kilometers in the second hour, and 50 kilometers in the third hour. First, is the motion uniform? Justify your answer. Then, find the average speed of the car. Is the motion uniform? The motion is non-uniform because the car covers unequal distances in the same time. To find the average speed, divide the total distance by the total time. That calculation shows us that the car's speed changes constantly. This leads to our next question. Which type of motion is more common in daily life? Uniform or non-uniform? Give 3 examples from your experience. Non-uniform motion is much more common in daily life. It is nearly impossible for anything to maintain a perfectly constant speed because of factors like traffic, road turns, or having to stop. 3 examples. A school bus stopping and starting to pick up students. A bicycle going up a hill and then speeding down the other side. A car driving through city traffic, constantly speeding up and slowing down. Explain the step-by-step process for converting a speed given in meters per second into kilometers per hour. What is the magic conversion factor? Step 1. Understand the goal. Step 2. Use the basic conversions. Step 3. Set up the conversion fraction. Step 4. Simplify the fraction to find the magic number. Step 5. Apply the rule. Tip for exams: always remember the fraction. If you are converting from the smaller unit to the larger unit, you use the fraction with the larger number on top, 18. Explain the step-by-step process for converting a speed given in kilometers per hour into meters per second. What is the magic conversion factor for this change? The process involves converting both the distance unit, kilometers to meters, and the time unit, hours to seconds. Step 1. Write down the basic conversions. Step 2. Form the conversion ratio. Step 3. Simplify the ratio. Step 4. State the rule. Step 5. Apply the rule. Tip for exams. When converting from the larger unit to the smaller unit, you use the fraction with the smaller number on top. 5. Next, calculate the speed of a car that travels 150 meters in 10 seconds. Express your answer in kilometer per hour. Step 1. First, find the speed in meter per second. Step 2. Convert meter per second to kilometer per hour. You get the answer 54 kilometer per hour. Next, a runner completes 400 meters in 50 seconds. Another runner completes the same distance in 45 seconds. Who has a greater speed and by how much? Step 1. Calculate speed of runner. 1. Step 2. Calculate speed of runner. 2. Step 3. Compare and find the difference. Conclusion. Runner 2 is faster by 0.89 meter per second. Let's try finding the time taken. A train travels at a speed of 25 meter per second and covers a distance of 360 kilometers. How much time does it take? Step 1. Convert kilometer to meter. Step 2. Calculate time in seconds. Step 3. Convert time to hours. This next one has 3 parts. A train travels 180 kilometers in 3 hours. Find its speed in 1. Kilometer per hour. 2. Meter per second. 3. What distance will it travel in 4 hours if it maintains the same speed? Step 1. Calculate speed in kilometer per hour. Step 2. Calculate speed in meter per second. Step 3. Calculate total distance covered in 4 hours. Let's compare 2 different things. The fastest galloping horse can reach the speed of approximately 18 meters per second. How does this compare to the speed of a train moving at 72 kilometers per hour? Step 1. Convert the train's speed to meter per second so we can compare them. Conclusion. The train is slightly faster than the horse. Well done, Class 7. That covers all the most important concepts for your exam. You are now experts in time and motion. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. This video is part of our comprehensive Class 7 Science Curiosity playlist, so make sure to check out the full series for more exciting lessons. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Chapter in 10 for more exciting lessons. See you next time.